afternoon. I don't know about you, but I've enjoyed it today. It's been slightly surreal after the one that we had earlier this year, because we had a lot of people from Syracuse University with us earlier in the year. And I don't know about you, but I thought that really added and made a nice, some fresh blood, some new ideas and things. But it's been just us again today. It's been good to see you all. And we've got our usual selection of people wanting to come up and perform for us. So I'll start us off with, where's Andy? Andy Smith. Let's just start with you, Andy.
First on?
Yeah, first on, Andy from Sleepless Survivors.
How long have people, how many readers?
Well, we've got 15 minutes and I've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We've got about 12 people, 13 at the most, so probably do 2, I would think, would be okay.
Yeah.
Testing.
Stop being scary.
Alright?
Yeah, away you go.
I'm interested at the moment in poetry for the short attention span, because I'm beginning to develop one. Here's my first. Beware of forces beyond your control. Beware of the body. Another one. The world dried up and split from corner to corner, then smiled. My first experience in life was a smack on the arse. Before I had even drawn a breath, I have had many more since. This one's a bit deep. Kettle boils Kyoto. Irate motorist in Kent passes tree in blossom. And to finish, no tread on my staircase. Craneless sky. Tiger, only skin. Thank you.
A very good way of starting, something totally unusual, very punchy, and yeah, always good from Andy. Right, so we'll move on, and let's have one from Newham writers. George, would you like to come over? George Fuller, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, thanks a lot. This is not my poem, this is Alex Morrison. He died a day or two ago. And the poem is written, it's called Bless My Soul, where he's interviewed by the devil. So it's very fitting. I don't know if it's in the waiting room now, waiting to be called in. But anyway, this is his poem. Bless my soul. I was sitting there and thinking, I'm worth much more than this. Earning measly wages, the most evil joys I miss. I looked around with jealousy at those who've sold their soul, their rewards for doing nothing when they should be on the dole, owning country mansions and chauffeur different cars, with stables full of horses and top-class cocktail bars. Most enormous bedrooms, each with a king-size bed, where many wide-eyed virgins are to base seduction led. If a soul can rent a lifetime of sinful pleasure fine, with evil dreams I wondered, what would I get for mine? I put my case to Satan. There's a picture of Satan in the place there. I put my case to Satan. My soul I bared on a tray, and asked what he'd give to take my innocence away. He flipped through my records, then studied me and said, 2 Marks and Spencer's vouchers and a loaf of wholemeal bread.
Something to make us smile, which is always good, and it's nice to look around the room and see so many smiley faces, because there hasn't been a great deal to get that smiley about this year in general, has there? Not in the world as a whole. So, right, well, shall we have Agnes, would you like to come up? Mrs. Agnes Meadows from the Loose View, ladies and gentlemen.
I just want to clarify, I think I first belonged to the TheFED group that was run by Jill and John Oxford. Yeah, that was when so Loose Muse is the event that I run for women writers. Nothing to do with TheFED at all. Okay. Talk amongst yourselves. No, that's not right. Okay, this poem is called Photograph, and it's inspired by a photograph in a newspaper which was captioned, "A boy walks past a bullet-ridden wall as he enjoys a lollipop in Kabul." That this boy could still have mischief in his eyes, could still grin like a door wide open, could still be easy in his shoes. That this boy could still taste the ghost of strawberries in cheap sweets, still savour the sugaring stab of them on his tongue, could still imagine himself blessed at such a gift. That this boy could still look with wonder at an empty sky, watch scaling birds net November clouds, follow a heron on the wing. That this boy could still say hello to strangers, could still trust learning, remember the pleasure of kites, imagine the fathering of children. That this boy could walk uncaring past a wall confetted by shrapnel, the gouging lace of bullets knitted into the ground, be blind to the unravelling tapestry of craters seaming his pathway home. That we could still turn away, indifferent, forget him in an instant, could still just turn the page. Thank you. And would you want happy or miserable?
Definitely.
No, this is a democracy. What do you want?
Miserable.
Definitely.
Miserable. Okay. Well, we'll go with miserable in that case.
What level of miserable?
Very miserable.
You want very miserable? I can actually. Whoa. That says it all. In that case, I'm going to read something. I've been fortunate enough to perform 3 times at a festival, poetry and arts festival in Babylon, Iraq. And this is a poem that I wrote in response to a visit to a mass grave. A mass grave of 13,000 disappeared Iraqis, including women and children, missing since 1991, butchered by Saddam Hussein for no other reason than he could. And it's called On a Morning in May at Al-Mawahil, near the city of Al-Hillah. No gravestones embossed with the names of lost ones. No photographs grown pale with seasonal passage. No flowers to mark a commonality of sorrow. No sense of peace or rest, or spectral murmurs threading through the familiar ornate architecture of cemeteries. Just numbered wooden markers, row upon row as far as the eye could see, cornrows of death by the roadside at Al-Mawahil, near the city of Al-Hillah, not far from Babylon, with the traffic muttering in an angry subtext, and 10,000 unnamed spirits howling underground, a banshee wail reflecting the cry of mothers rendered unreasonable by grief's weight. Have you ever seen a woman so torn apart by woe that her mouth has become a gaping wound, her lips drawn thin over her teeth in a parody of laughter, her eyes blinded now with anguish? And the noise escaping from the prison of her broken features is no longer human. Her head thrown back as she becomes breathless and gasping, the animal shriek of agony going on and on, on and on and on, replicating endlessly until it takes the skin off your heart in compassion, and every part of you vibrates with the harshness of it, a raw, relentless kind of pain, and you're praying that it will stop, like she is praying that it will stop, for the comfort of lives, for the yesterday when this kind of grief was not a word in her dictionary of loss, when her child, her brother, father, sister, mother, husband, neighbour, friend was not reduced to an occasional limb, unidentifiable, dismembered, disappeared, but at her side, warm and vibrant in the moon smile of evening. If you have never seen that woman in her mantle of despair, then you will not know what I saw on that morning in May at Al-Mawahil, near the city of Al-Hilwa, not far from Babylon. Nor will you understand why I stood still and cried. Thank you. Thoroughly miserable.
Well, the harsh realities of this world, unfortunately, are very poignant one to remind us of all that. Now, whenever I come to the Fed and I think to myself, I'm in need of a bit of cheering up, there's two characters that I think of. One is our Lucia with her lovely songs, and the other is the old curmudgeon over there. Come up here, Dave. Yeah! Dave Chambers, you and Ron.
I've got something I prepared earlier. I've got something I prepared earlier. Sorry, it's right miserable. No, it's not. It's something called Night Goods, and it's been around for a while. But I think one of my problems in writing is that I never finish anything. I think I might call this one finished. His eyes came open, looked around, and settled on the curtains, which were a lesser shade of dark, the faint glow of starlight being just enough to show that there really was a window in the room. The frosty cool of the September night made the boy shiver and pull the covers tighter around him. He struggled to keep his eyes from closing and listened intently to all of the small, silent noises that happen at night. Slowly the view grew brighter as his eyes became used to what light was available. There was the shriek of an owl, a bark from a hungry fox, and a slight scraping, which may have been a mouse. Then there was the uneasy quiet that often came at this time. There was a rushing, like the wind, but not like the wind, faint, growing louder. It's coming, he thought, muffled. He seemed to be hearing it through a veil, but it kept getting louder. Suddenly the veil lifted. 1. It became clearer. 2. 3. His clear decutting seems to be quick. His concentration increased so that the count would not be lost as the pictures in his mind grew more vivid. 20. 21. There came an extra click, clacking. 22 to the bridge. This is a fast run. After the bridge, the surging thunder closed on the small group of cottages. Louder. The room began to shake. 33. His eyes opened yet wider as the clanking, hissing, roaring rattled past. 34. The sub-count, the clickety-click of the wagons, was lost at about 29, but the main count went on. 35. The tone changed as the racing cavalcade swept forward. The hissing that was like a roar and the roaring that was like a hiss were blending to form an urgent onward clarion call, charging away to the south. 46. He knew he may not be able to detect the next subtle change unless he concentrated very hard. That could be it. 57. No, not so soon. The urgent onward seemed to lose some of its urgency, and he felt rather than heard that something was holding. Then he heard the extra clank of wagons coming together, each moving onto the buffers of the one in front. 61. It is. He's braking already. He can't be there yet. Something must be wrong. The count continued. 65. That extra clanking, louder than usual, went on and on. He's braking too hard. Something really must be wrong. The boy's thoughts and senses alerted. 70, 71. The long, doleful wail filled the room. His eyes widened, his body tensed, his head raised off the pillow. 72, he said aloud, and the sound of his own voice startled him. He waited, held his breath for what seemed like a long time, but wasn't. The urgent onward clarion call went on, charging away, ever southward, confirming that nothing had gone wrong. 72, he breathed. There must be a record. 72 seconds. It's a mile and a half from the cutting, and he was braking hard right into Whistle Bend with at least 30 wagons. A shiver went through him again, but it had nothing to do with being cold. There was a rushing, like the wind but not like the wind, fading, whispering. The room was steady and quiet. There was a faint scraping, which might have been a mouse, and his eyelids became too heavy to hold up. The sleep which now came led to a place where a child could race through the starlit dark, pulling the levers and sounding the whistle as driver of the Night Goods Express.
That's brilliant. It's always good to see you, Dave. You've been with us a long time, and it goes back to my earliest memories of TheFED, which I think was about 2005, when it was the weekend. And crikey, these evenings, these meetings used to go on long into the night in those days.
Yeah.
Right, well, I'd like to bring up Roger next from the Soundwork Community Projects, because I took part in a really interesting workshop that Roger put together earlier today about being random. So there you are, Roger. I'm going to randomly select you now.